Hello and welcome to the King Crypto channel. Today is December 30th, 2017. I would like to discuss Stellar and Ripple and all the information going around about both of these companies. There's been a lot of focus on both Stellar and Ripple over the last few days. And both networks cannot really be labeled as traditional cryptocurrency by any means. However, the technology is still of great value to financial services, the banks. So it's still a bit clear what is the difference between Ripple and Stellar, and what is Jed McCaleb's play in it all. As Jed McCaleb started with Ripple, and actually Coin one, and then Ripple, and now has left Ripple, and is a part of Stellar. So I'll get to that down the road, but first let me just explain a little bit about Ripple. Most people are referring to Ripple as a centralized blockchain. That's not entirely true. It's not an accurate assessment by any means. Ripple is a project that was designed to target financial institutions, the banks, and provide a distributed ledger basis solution across cross-border payments. So additionally, the company is working together with regulators and central banks to make this project work. And it is. They're signing more contracts with bigger and bigger banks. Any day we could find out something like HSBC decides to sign on with Ripple. What's that going to do? It's going to drive the price to the moon. But several years ago, Ripple was introduced, and the organized effort to engage with financial industry leaders has made them quite, different and prominent in the technology so far. Moreover, they use a different consensus mechanism compared to Stellar, which uses a probabilistic voting according to their white paper. This model is not very different from what Bitcoin is, as it relies on a majority validation. So it's worth noting that Ripple has a deflationary currency model. The number of tokens in circulation will gradually decrease as it's used more often, per transaction, for cross-border transactions. So additionally, Ripple was formed with several partnerships with banks and other financial institutions around the world. So their technology is of great interest to these parties, and that's evident. It's happening. So we can't deny that fact. So on the other hand, Stellar was a project originally created as a fork of Ripple, the Ripple protocol, back in 2014. So normal to learn the parts of Stellar were the original recipe code of Ripple. Look, Jed McCaleb was a part of it. He left Ripple and went to Stellar. So originally they were saying the code was based off of Ripple, and that is true. So based off it, but it's not their code. No code was copied. So the Stellar functionalities are very similar, and they both use a distributed ledger to track the accounts of the native asset, but they're definitely different coding. Stellar uses a consensus mechanism known as Stellar Consensus Protocol. This feature is outlined in their white paper. This method is used basically for solving problems and reaching consensus among the network nodes. The Stellar project also uses a strict API based on the external data representation standards. Furthermore, Stellar's native currency is Lumens, which the Lumens is what they're going by, and Ripple goes by XRP. Stellar is mainly designed to target the individuals, focusing on their technology rather than making a name for themselves among the financial institutions, which is what Ripple does. So that's kind of how they're different. Ripple's more based on gaining, widespread awareness among the banks. and using the banks. Stellar does the opposite. They're more interested in the individuals themselves. So that's kind of your main difference, and I'm going to get into more of this, as I go on. So Ripple uses what's called a real-time gross settlement, RTGS, the currency exchange and remittance network. Ripple Transaction Protocol, or Ripple Protocol, is built on a distributed open source internet protocol and consensus ledger. The native currency for Ripple is XRP, supported by the Ripple Labs company. So Stellar is also pretty much the same. It's very similar. Stellar uses RTGS as a currency exchange and remittance network. Stellar Protocol is SCP, also distributed on an open source internet protocol and consensus ledger. The native currency is XLM. So it's supported by a non-profit Stellar Development Foundation, SDF. So both networks support tokens representing fiat or crypto or any unit of value, so similar to like your frequent flyer miles or charging up a prepaid cell phone. And, Ripple and Stellar are separately based on a shared public database or ledger, which uses a consensus that allows for payments, exchanges, and remittance in a distributed process. So, back in 2004, Ryan Fuger created RipplePay.com, a decentralized exchange, not centralized, a decentralized exchange, allowing individuals and communities to create their own money. 2011, Jed McCaleb began a digital system where transactions were being verified by consensus by the members of the network rather than a mining process like Bitcoin. So in August 2012, Jed hired Chris Larsen and approached Ryan Fuger about the digital currency idea. In September of 2012, Larsen and McCaleb co-founded OpenCoin. They began developing the Ripple protocol and the network. So on September 26, 2013, OpenCoin changed their name to Ripple Labs, as we know it today. In early 2014, Stellar was founded by Jed McCaleb and Joyce Kim after Jed left Ripple, with many disagreements in the ideas that he was coming up with. So, Jed McCaleb had all kinds of bad ideas Ripple's board just refused to implement. So Jed started Stellar based on those ideas. Jed basically, he wanted to do a Ripple giveaway on Facebook. Ripple didn't want to do that. So one of the first things that Stellar did, that is one of the first things Stellar did, they did a giveaway, and it was pretty much considered a disaster. As it became clear that each of the ideas were being rejected, all of McCaleb's ideas were being rejected, he went and he started Stellar. And it was basically, to be a clone of Ripple. So Jed tried to dump all his Ripple quickly, and, Ripple company would not allow him to do that. So they opened up a bunch of lawsuits, and, look at it now, though. So Ripple's refusal for Jed to sell off the coins, they're probably worth more than $1 billion. So he'll probably be, Jed's going to end up, he will end up being a self-made billionaire, although he was trying his best efforts with the Ripple company, Ripple Labs. So, the company solicited investors, and those investors get the stock with voting rights. So some of them get seats on the board of directors. And, you bring these smart people on to help you make good decisions, and Jed brought in Chris Larsen. So Jed's reaction to not getting his way and, do what he wished with the Ripple company, he went off and he started Stellar Lumens. So now in 2015, Stellar created a new protocol, FBA, Federated Byzantine Agreement. It's a completely new code. So it's nothing copied from Ripple code. It's completely new coding. And you know, basically Ripple wants to work with the banks and allow them to send money around the world. The Ripple solution lowers the cost of settlement by using an IOV, Internet of Value, allowing instant and certain settlement. The customers see the real-time remittance up front and the fees and the rates with a status of tracking and a delivery confirmation. So Stellar is a little opposite on that. Stellar wants to expand the financial access and literacy worldwide. The platform connects banks and payment systems and people. You know, and they're trying to help fight poverty and develop individual potential by moving money quickly, reliably, and pretty much no cost. The micropayments decrease the cost of the smaller transfers, and it's kind of like a tiered system where, you know, the payment, it's a tiered payment option to the customers. The remittance, you know, to send the money to different countries quickly, it is a fraction of a cent. And this offers, you know, low-cost payments between different currencies. You know, the mobile money platforms are interoperable. So customers can send mobile money to recipients with different providers. Social enterprises, NGO projects, you know, it's a low-cost financial service to bring in sustainable social change. And you know, that's definitely a few differences between the two. So in the beginning with Ripple, they created 100 billion Ripple. 20 billion Ripple were kept by the creators. And the creators gave the rest of the 80% to Ripple Labs to fund operations. So as of today, December 30th, the total held by the creators and customers is 38,739,144,847. The Ripple Labs is planning to distribute it primarily through business development deals as an incentive to liquefy the providers who often, you know, tighter spreads for the payments. Selling XRP to institutional buyers interested in investing in Ripple, Ripple estimates to hold about 50 billion by the year 2021. So XRP is a deflationary coin that gradually diminishes, which will take, you know, it's an estimate of about 1,000 years for it to diminish entirely. You know, if someone tried to hack it or steal it, it's not worth it. There's no way they could. So each transaction has a small fee for the non-native currencies. This protects the network against flooding and hacks. It would make it way too expensive for any hacker to bother. The fees are destroyed, reducing the total cap of the XRP as these transactions take place. Now, Stellar, on the other hand, it's different. And I'll go through a little bit of the Stellar information. The XLM coin, that was created in 2015. Originally, it was STR. So 100 billion lumens were originally created. XLM is an inflationary coin. The network built it in as an inflationary tool. So the new lumens get added as a rate of 1% per year. And that's based off the total transaction fees of the lumens, and they get added into an inflation pool. So to balance the ecosystem, the lumen holders can vote on where they want the funds in this pool to go. So the weekly the protocol distributes these lumens to any account that gets over 0.05% of the votes from the others on the network. The votes are calculated based on the total XLM. So the lumens can be distributed 50% to a program for education, 25% to nonprofits for undeserved populations, 20% for the Bitcoin program, and 5% for operational costs. So if we're looking at today's circulation, we're at 17,858,964,000 667 as of today. So 1% of that at the end of the year, it gets divided up into these different pools. It goes into a pool and gets divided up into these different programs, these different nonprofit programs, which is where their 1% inflation per year is divided into. So there's definitely a difference as far as the deflation and inflation between Ripple and Stellar. And I believe both technologies are going to be here to stay. Ripple definitely has a jump start on Stellar, but they're very similar technologies. It's basically a clone of Ripple. And, you know, I'll leave this to you guys to discuss in the comments below. My standpoint is I own both. I'm going to watch them both very closely, keep up with the news. Ripple's due to have some news here by the end of the year, and I'm looking forward to what it is for their Q4 announcement. You know, and Stellar, you know, I'm going to be following everything I can as closely as possible with Stellar. And 2018 is definitely going to be an interesting year, to say the least, with all cryptocurrency. And we're seeing some major corrections and some sell-offs now towards the end of the year. And that's anticipated for tax reasons and, you know, a million other reasons. And there's so much fresh money coming into the market through Korea and Japan, and all the new accounts are being approved on all the different exchanges where there was such a backlog and certain exchanges were down. So, you know, we could still possibly see a small increase between now and end of the year, but I think as soon as 2018 hits, yeah, it's who knows what's going to happen. But there's my breakdown on Ripple and Stellar. I hope you've all gained some valuable information by this and can invest wisely and make some money come 2018. Thank you. This is the King Crypto channel. Please subscribe below by clicking the subscribe button and the bell, and I look forward to your comments.